Let's welcome in the Hall of Famer right now. We'll shift gears back to football. Pop quiz coming up in a matter of moments, and we welcome in the Hall of Famer, John Clayton, on the Payless Liquors hotline. JC, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Cannot complain. The Colts, the Texans are saying that they got on their roll following that 4th and 4 game against the Colts when they were 0-3. They haven't lost since that victory that a lot of folks feel the Colts gifted them. Did the Colts create a monster, or what's your view on the Texans and their future as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, they did create a little bit of a monster, because not that it's a monster team, it is not. I mean, it basically has been on a roll because of the schedule. I mean, they caught Dallas the next week in overtime at the right time, and then they rolled off 7 straight wins after that. But, the question is, how many teams have they really beaten? I mean, they were afforded the easiest schedule in the National Football League. They're good on defense, that's for sure. I mean, they're not great, but they're good on defense. And then offensively, the interesting part is they have to manage a game a certain way, because they kind of want to, because the offensive line is so bad that they determined it's hard now for Deshaun Watson, as good as he is, to throw more than 25 passes in a game, because if they do that, then he's vulnerable to get destroyed. In fact, I was right around that time, I think it was October 8th, is when they suffered a chest injury, and they realized, hey, we've got to really run the ball more, we've got to manage the game better, and we just can't put Deshaun Watson at risk. So it's a combination of good coaching, a very good quarterback, an offensive line they're trying to work around, and then a defense that keeps you in most of the games, and they've been lucky enough to win the games.
And again, with the Titans loss tonight at home, and then they win over the Colts, they would already tie up the AFC South. I guess as we look at the Colts in 6-6, I'm not sure where you had them to start the year, but we're kind of wondering where is this team? Have they performed about like you thought? Because there's a lot of disappointment after getting blanked at Jacksonville last week.
Yeah, the Jacksonville game was that was a big disappointment and a big setback, because I thought that it was setting up for the Colts, and still, because again, you got all the 6-6 teams battling for that last spot for them to still be able to claim this. But I thought, and I was using the model because again, I didn't know the defense where that was going to be, because I thought that was going to be a big work in progress. I still thought that Andrew could get the team to 8 wins, and right now I think that's definitely in the cards, and they can still maybe win 3 out of 4 if they can get the Houston game and get into the playoffs at 9-7. But 9 wins was maybe a little bit more, but I still thought that Andrew was going to be good enough, as he was, to be able to pull this off. Because remember, he's never had a losing season when he's healthy, and most top level quarterbacks like him can at least change things around and get you to 500, and that's exactly what he's right now doing.
Hall of Famer John Clayton joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Coach Frank Reich has been praised for his offensive genius, criticized some for his gambles. How do you look at Frank Reich in his first season?
Excellent. I think you can see a good coach. I just wish we can take that script on 4th down and rip it up, because
yes,
I mean, it's like whatever the 4th down script is, destroy it, because I think right now that's been too costly. Not going for the tie in the Houston game, certainly that did cost them, because now it was a loss more than a win. And then the 3 tries in Jacksonville territory for the 4th downs turned out to be disastrous. And I just hope that he changes that, because I've seen it too many times this year. I've seen it too many times in the AFC South. It's like, Mike Vrabel does it all the time too. It's like, oh yeah, the script says and analytics say we need to go for more 4th downs, and then, like in the case of Mike Vrabel, he'll go for the 4th down and it doesn't work, or the goal line play and it doesn't work, and then he comes back and says, well, we're trying to win. Well, guess what? You lost. I mean, I was down at the Houston game against Tennessee on that Monday night, and here it is. He tries for the craziest play in the low with Luke Stalker going with a handoff at the 3-yard line, and he didn't make the first down. Remember, a tight end had taken
the tight end.
Yeah. For the first time, and what happens on the next play? 97-yard run by Lamar Miller, and all of a sudden that 10-0 lead, which was 10-7 at that time, they're now trailing 14-10, and they never looked back. They were down 17 points, and the ball game was over.
All right, we mentioned some playoff scenarios. Chiefs-Ravens is an interesting one. Chiefs can clinch a playoff berth with a win, but I'm wondering, this whole Kareem Hunt thing, how does that affect them? Not only maybe winning the division, because the Chargers are still right there and playing really good football right now, but certainly in the bigger picture, possibility of a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no question, and I think that very well could be the case. And it was funny because I haven't run the analytics on it yet. I'll probably try to do it today or tomorrow. But when I was watching been doing the sidelines on a 49er game on Sunday, and trying to ask what was the impact of not having Jerick McKinnon. And what they look at Jerick McKinnon as being is a 750 guy. And they said it hurt the passing offense more than it did the run offense. That's for San Francisco. And that's what I'm kind of wondering with Kareem Hunt, because he's so good both running and catching the ball. Is it going to have a drop down on the receiving that they have? And I think it very well might. Now, again, they're very deep at skilled positions, so I think they can fill in. But I think it's going to be a big impact because they're not going to be able to run the ball as well. They're not going to be able to get the ball out of the backfield to the running back as well. And so, what's that mean? It maybe takes a 30-point offense down to 28. That could be the case. But with their defense, I mean, they need to score as many points as possible. So I think that, you still got to worry if you're Kansas City that the Chargers could catch up to you because there's only a one-game advantage. So, in fact, that game was so interesting, I decided to go to it.
Oh,
so I'll
good.
be there at Kansas City, Baltimore when we talk on Sunday.
Oh, that'll be a lot of fun. One of the other things is the whole Green Bay situation. First of all, what were the odds that Mike McCarthy was the first coach to get canned? And then when you look at Winston Moss's tweet about everybody being accountable in Green Bay, even number 12, you think that was more frustration over the firing of McCarthy, who I think Winston was the assistant head coach or something? And how did he expect to not get fired?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, I think that figuring that Mike's probably going to end up with the Cleveland job or some other job because he'll have 2 or 3 offers, and Winston clearly is going to go with him. I think it's a show of loyalty to Mike McCarthy, and I think you talk to most people around the league, they thought it was unfair to fire Mike McCarthy at this time because, again, he gave 13 years to this team. They always played at a very high level except for this year, and things you could see were going so negatively that there was going to be a change after the season. Now, I think by making this firing, it opens the door that they can talk to some of the college coaches, whether it's going to be Lincoln Riley or Pat Fitzgerald, guys like that. But, ultimately, I think it's going to be, you're not going to like this, I think it's going to be Joshy Boy McDaniels. That's everything I'm hearing. Yes, that's what I'm hearing. And so it's like, that's why, if you're going to be Winston Moss and you know that you're going to have a job with Mike McCarthy probably in Cleveland, then you might as well take a shot and get out of there too, because it's a very bad situation. I mean, here you have Joe Philbin taking over, and he hasn't called plays in 25 years. Back, I think, when he was at Northeastern University. But everything I'm starting to hear is that Joshy Boy may end up getting the job in Green Bay.
Wow. That's annoying.
Wow.
Also, given the Kareem Hunt situation, does that open the door for yet another AFC representation for the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl?
Oh,
that does, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it does open it up because, let's say that the Hunt loss cost them a game, and all of a sudden now it's a tie, or some way the Patriots can wrestle away home field advantage. Because if they get home field advantage again, then there's a good chance they're going to go to the Super Bowl. And of course, I mean, you can see that there's a little bit of wear and tear on Tom Brady. I mean, he's not performing at the highest level. He's missing more passes than he's ever done before, and they're starting to switch more into a little bit of a running type of offense. But yeah, it does open the door because if you're Kansas City, can you win in Foxborough? Probably not.
We were doing head counts of JMV and I were talking about this after we got done talking to you last week during the pregame show about how many head coaches there could be that will be fired, and you could make an argument for about 8. Is that still kind of a number that you're looking at? And of the 8, McCarthy's immediately going to be another guy that we get a job. Harbaugh was one of those guys in Baltimore, but with them winning now, probably not. He'd be another guy that could get a job immediately. How many retreads would there be?
Well, I had it up to at one point 11. But then, then I started taking some guys off. Like, for example, John Harbaugh, I started to take off unless there's some mutual thing that they want to break. Jason Garrett, I took off, and then Jay Gruden, I took off because I think it's unfair. I mean, you're down 2 quarterbacks and your offense is just shattered with injuries. So you're still 6-6 and have a chance. So I took those 3 guys off, and then all of a sudden, Ron Rivera now starts to emerge as being on the hot seat. So I think it settles into 8. But usually, there's always going to be one surprise or 2, and that could take it to 9. But I think it's safe to say that there's going to be a lot of change after this season.
Grady, you and me. You and me will take John with us. What do you think? John, what would you want to be in charge of?
What's that?
What would you want to be in charge of? You could be on Grady and my coaching staff.
I can do the salary cap.
You could. And I need help with math, so that's great.
That's perfect.
Well, of course, I mean, but let's put it this way. We know who's going to be doing the food part of it.
That's
That's right. That's right.
got
He's
the
in charge
catering.
of the buffets.
Let's put it this way. You know that team's going to eat well if Joe's going to be in charge of it.
That's right. That's right. JC, John Clayton, the Hall of Famer. Always appreciate it, John. Thanks so much for your time.
Hey, thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Really appreciate it. This is John Clayton there on the Payless Liquors Hotline.
He came into the league at 210. Now he's 387 pounds. Biggest quarterback we've ever seen.
What was it, Jared Lorenzen type?
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Jared Lorenzen body type.
Jared Lorenzen in front of your face
Yes.
right now.
Hefty lefty. All right, it is pop quiz time. 239-1070 is our number. 239-1070. Hop on the line right now. Okay, not great performances this week. We'll see how you do today. Medium difficulty quiz today. All right, we'll see how you do.
Right.
As we tell you, you got to know sports. Got to know sports. You do that, you're in. 239-1070 is our number. 239-1070. Show off your smarts. The pop quiz is next here on The Fan.